Hey, good Wednesday morning, and thanks for checking out your latest long-range forecast update. Michael Clark here with Fan Weather and the Weather Portal. Got a quick update for you, as I know a lot of folks are really itching to find out, when can they get out in the field, when can they plant. And we've got a small window of opportunity opening up as long as things can dry out quick enough in the window before the window closes again. And I think if you're strategic, it could work out. But let's talk about it, all right? So first and foremost, April forecast verifications overall pretty well. I mean, when we have a record month here of both cold and rain here in the northern plains, it is very difficult to forecast that. But for the most part, the outlook was pretty good in terms of how it all panned out. So I was happy with that, with the wetter and the cooler suggestions. You can see record of basically top two, or the second wettest since 1893, and the second coldest for northwestern Minnesota, North Dakota, and still wet and cool elsewhere, obviously with everything going on, planting delays, but literally 0% of North Dakota is planted. And my concerns continue really to mount there as we go forward, all right? This is a look at rainfall just the last 48 hours at a half inch or more. So the lightest blue color starting at a half inch and then going from there. So a widespread rain here over the last 48 hours from portions of south central Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, gosh, about 70% of the U.S. growing regions here got a good half inch of rain over the last 48 hours. And I know just from talking to a lot of folks that up and through here is getting very, very wet. A lot of ponding and saturation going on. And so we need some time to dry out. It is going to be possible, but we're going to have to battle the system coming in here Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. This is the 1 to 5 day rainfall forecast from the European model. We're not done yet. And so that's why this window, I'm just not sure of how beneficial a 5 day window is going to be. It's going to be warm and it's going to be dry. In some locations may touch 90 degrees. So conditions can rapidly improve pretty quickly, but that same area that just got a lot of rain is going to get more rain, and really a 1 to 3 inch rainfall forecast over the next 5 days. I'm going to change this to black here so you guys can see this a little bit better. But that's the thought process here, is a wet into the week and start to the weekend. But the 5 to 10 day period looks good for the area that's been really wet. Now here's the trade-off. Both the European and the GFS have a pretty aggressive storm system up here in the northern plains, which means North Dakota is going to get yet another big kind of punch in the gut here with rainfall in that period. Even the southern Canadian prairies, where it's going to be once again wet. All right, so it'll dry out in the 5 to 10 day where it's going to be wet in the 1 to 5, but where it's been record wet and cold, you're going to mount up more rain here in that 5 to 10 day period, according to the latest models. This is a blended layover of the GEFS and the EPS. It's the ensemble means, 82 different ensembles averaged out over the next 15 days. And this is what it's spitting out here for the area that's going to run above normal precip. Pretty solid agreement by the two ensembles together. Pretty strong agreement here, above normal rains for Missouri, Oklahoma, and Kansas the next 2 weeks. You can see quite a bit of agreement there, and another kind of epicenter of above normals right in through here. So if anywhere where it could be difficult is going to be centered in this area. Better news for the eastern belt down here through the Arklatex regions to get some field work in. But again, it's all going to be about this window of opportunity and how we're going to manage that beyond day 10. Because in the 10 to 15, it does look like it could pick back up a little bit once again. Here's the week 2 precipitation outlook, okay? And again, not an encouraging signal for the folks out here in the far northern plains, southern Canadian prairies. take the bad and the good together, I guess. But Oklahoma, Kansas has been very dry, and it's now just looking to run active and a little bit wetter than normal. So, that something to consider is how warm it's going to get. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. That could be helpful. But again, the week 2 forecast much drier than average here across the east, which again will be beneficial. Now, big warm up coming. Big warm up coming in the 1 to 5. We're still cool. Okay, no doubt about it. Model agreement across the board. Huge warm up coming in the 6 to 10. Upper 80s, even low 90s possible in the 6 to 10 for much of basically all of the U.S. growing regions here. And that warmth continuing in the 11 to 15 most likely. As I mentioned in yesterday's video, anytime we have the warmth east and the trough kind of back out to the west, you're going to be active in between. That's why our week 2 forecast is active out there. But a big warm-up is coming. Let's look at some of these high temperatures getting into next week. Anywhere you see this maroon color, that's 85 degrees or warmer. Okay, so this kind of this stark contrast here in color from the, you can kind of see it right here. I'll highlight this for you. Right here, this maroon color here is kind of, that's the 85 degree or warmer line, right, for Monday next week. So very, very warm there. And then getting into Tuesday of next week, you can see even 90s working in. You see in those light grays, those are 90 degree temperatures based on the European model. Okay, going out into Wednesday of next week, just very, very warm. Thursday and into Friday. These temperatures, they can moderate and adjust some, but regardless, we have a warm and dry 4 to 6 day window opening next week. All right, so take advantage of that if you can. The temperature outlook officially here, obviously well above the average next week, staying cooler in the northern plains. Yeah, I will say I'm concerned for North Dakota. I'm not really sure what they're, how they're going to make it happen up there with everything going on, and the forecast is not favorable up there. So just something to consider going forward. Okay, and this is a look here. If we kind of look beyond 2 weeks, what are we looking at? Late May into June. This is our pattern here over Eastern Asia, and what I want to show you is what I want to point your attention to is kind of the troughs that you continue to see kind of work over the area. We have one that comes through here. All right, and then we have a bigger trough that wants to work in that 6 to 10 day period. That bigger trough, that signal there would correlate more to something May 20th to 25th or so, another possible big shot of cool air and a big storm system around that time. When you see something that significant showing up in East Asia, would continue to suggest this pattern overall is going to remain active and roller coaster, right? With up and down temperature regimes for sure. The CFS and the European weeklies, here's week 3 and week 4 for temperatures. Again, you can see that no significant long duration above normal temperatures in the forecast. All right, nothing in terms of significant heat in the forecast. And when we look at years where we have these La Niñas continuing, there's not a La Niña that's strong, I want to preface. There's just not a lot of persistent or sustained heat signals. Okay, we're not looking at incredibly hot conditions, even out through June, I don't believe. Okay, you can see the week 3 and 4 forecast from the CFS Weekly on Precip is still, it's active, it's wet and it's cool. That's essentially the forecast if you ask the CFS to end up May. And looking at what I see in East Asia, I just don't have any reason to disagree with that. The EPS Weekly would take us out through the first 2 weeks of June. It would essentially forecast normal temperatures for the Ag Belt. Just normal early June type summer heat. Nothing too much out of the ordinary unless you're in the South Central Plains or the Southwest. And the precipitation pattern is overall pretty normal. 100%, 90 to 100% of the normal rainfall if you ask this version of the model. And so when we look at June, and we look at basically the top years for La Niñas as we roll into June is the simplest way to put this, the strongest ones. If anything, you have the ability to run warmer in the eastern belt and the southeast. Okay, we've seen tendencies of that here develop lately where we've gotten a little bit drier and a little bit warmer. So there can be some southeast ridging or some southeast dryness and warmth in June if there's anywhere where we're going to be potentially looking at above normal temperatures. But with that being said, if a pattern like that can develop, it's very obvious in the precip analogs that a southeast ridge enhances this southwest flow aloft, and we get really wet in June. Okay? And so there wouldn't probably be any lack of rainfall coming into the picture when we're looking at strong La Nina Junes. A cooler risk would remain across the central and northern plains. All right? But it still overall would be wet. If this ridge here establishes itself in the south and southeast, and you run a southwest flow, and you're going to stay wet. You're going to be warm in the east, but you're not going to be lacking moisture by any means here. So, kind of some June thought processes there, just looking at the strongest La Ninas on record, really. Some of the other years included years like 99, 89, 88, but those years in terms of climate really aren't relative, so there's no reason to really show them. But that's kind of a thought process of where we're at, where we're going. There are some windows developing, but the pattern overall looking active, no significant heat, for a sustained period of time in the forecast here, at least anytime soon for now. If you have any questions, let us know. Thanks for watching today, and talk to you soon.